Eternal! The world is under honor and gratitude! I made you my heir! But the lesser species might have survived even this!
Unlike you, I'm not afraid of dying. I'd rather keep my humanity.
Welcome back to Gamer Unite. I'm your host, G.A.M.E.R here, and what happens when you make a game about Batman without Batman? Well, this game answers that question by telling us the story of Batman's death and how it affects Gotham and our four main characters of the game, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood. That's right, Warner Bros. Games gave WB Montreal the keys to the Batman universe once again after previously releasing Batman Arkham Origins. And did it succeed? Did it fail? This game has been hit with a lot of controversy and has received lots of mixed reviews, but I'm here to tell you how I feel and what I thought of Gotham Knights. Beware, this review does contain spoilers, so if at all worried, please leave now. But with that being said, let's get started talking about the good.
He told me never to take the mask up. Not like him. Babs, it's taking everything I have not to screw this up. Everything he built is in my hands.
Story, cutscenes, characters, and dialogue. The best thing you're getting out of this game is its narrative. Absolutely. The way they handled Batman's death and the characters' interactions with each other was one of the best of the year. There is very few games where I can say I enjoyed reading every dialogue, listening to all the cutscenes as much as Gotham Knights. There's not many narratives I enjoyed this much throughout the year than I did with Gotham Knights. Every cutscene, whether it was a character-specific one or a part of the main story, all were interesting and captivating thanks to this game's incredible writing and pace. I never felt they were rushed anything with the story or character arcs. I feel like they definitely took their time and thoroughly thought it all out and did it according to plan, where it didn't feel rushed, it didn't feel slow. It was a great story told from start to finish. Obviously, in Gotham Knights, you can choose between Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, and Red Hood, and no matter who you decide to play, you're in for an emotional roller coaster and absolutely standout performances. Apart from the story, the gameplay for the most part was enjoyable. I definitely have some issues with it, but what I did find good was how addicting and satisfying the gameplay or the combat was. I never found myself at any point thinking the combat was weak or boring. Every character gets a very distinct playstyle and set of customization. The finishers and takedown were fun, and the co-op gameplay was handled pretty well, especially the way they handled completing quests and story missions in each player's save, because one thing I really like is once you leave your friend's lobby, the game gives you a choice to either do them again or skip, meaning you can really speed up your own playthrough or even take more time to do them again, which I really do love. Customizing the look and colors of the heroes is cool, and there is some creativity there, but more on that later. There were some missions that I definitely stood out more than others. Anytime you were in a cave or a special location, that's when the missions were the strongest. Also, I think the side quest selection is great, with multiple iconic characters making appearances like Harley Quinn, Mr. Freeze, and Clayface. And that also brings me to enemies. I think there is a lot of enemy variety in the game thanks to multiple factions and the antagonists in the game. And actually, antagonists in the game, for the most part, did their job. Again, we'll talk about that more later. There are puzzles in the game. But most of them deal with detective work, which fits the story and the characters and the vibe. And for the most part, were all well designed and never took too long. They were interesting, something different. I feel like we haven't really gotten puzzles like these. And I definitely think they ended up doing their job and giving us the good detective feeling from them. In terms of visuals, they were okay. Unfortunately, something else in the game hurts the visuals, but we will touch on that later. Something that many people haven't touched on that I really liked is there is a night system, as in every night you get a score for how many crimes you stop and objectives you clear. It really helps sell the superhero vibe and bring something interesting to the open world. I do like Gotham's design in this game. I thought it was really good, but it did feel a little empty. And speaking of things that I did find mixed, we're gonna go ahead and move on to what I found mixed about this game. And well, unfortunately, most of this game goes in mixed for me. I was super hyped for this game because I personally hate Batman. I know, flame me all you want, but I absolutely love his sidekicks. Sidekicks carry, villains carry, Gotham carries. While I did have a lot of fun, I think it gets more hate than it should. I can't ignore some of the glaring problems that this game has. And we'll start off in terms of story. While I do think for the most part it was terrific, the twist of spoiler alert, resurrecting Batman at the end, I felt was not the right direction or decision. I get giving the characters motivation, but having him resurrected just to sacrifice himself again, not only was unnecessary to make a good finale, but also made his sacrifice earlier at the start of the game feel less impactful. Granted, the reason it's in mixed is because I felt his boss fight was fun, and the motivation he did give to our main characters definitely was needed, but I think there could have been a better way of handling that. And on the topic of boss fights, I think the boss fights were fun, but definitely needed more. I never felt the epicness or enjoyment that you typically get in boss fights, and yeah, I feel like could have just been done a whole lot more, put in definitely some more just boss fight elements, really. In terms of the story, I feel like they should have focused less on Talia al Ghul and made the game more about the Court of Owls. Don't get me wrong, I do like Talia al Ghul in this game, which is why it's in mixed, and I do think adding her in was really good, but kind of like 3/4 through the game, they kind of just ditch the Court of Owls until the finale, and they kind of just show up and start throwing rocks. They had like some of the strongest parts of the game, and never had the biggest presence in the finale or late game, like I just said. So I definitely wish they focused more on Court of Owls and less on Talia al Ghul, because I feel like it undermined everything that the Court of Owls did earlier in the game. But again, the reason it's in mixed because I do enjoy Talia al Ghul, and I still like the finale for the most part. There are definitely some gameplay moments, we're gonna move on to gameplay, that make you annoyed or unsettled. Whether that's level differences between you and enemies, like the Man-Bat boss fights. I feel like me and my friend were just killing everything, nothing was getting our way, and then we reached Man-Bats and we suddenly like sucked. That was not good balancing between the enemies and where your levels were. I just found that really weird. Not being able to smoothly jump on ledges and get over obstacles and maneuver around the battlefield, that was super annoying, especially in the gameplay, because it just made everything feel janky and confusing, and you get annoyed because you're not doing what you want to do, buttons aren't working. And this is the biggest mix thing when it comes to... I honestly debate about putting that last one in bad, because I don't think it's like terrible, but it definitely should not be there. Traversal is fun. In this game, it's so hit or miss, especially when it comes to the character-specific traversals. Everyone's traversal is good, except Robin's. His traversal is the definition of mid, and could have been so much more. The bat cycles did not give you as much to do as it should have, but was fun at times, I will say. Like I said earlier, the customization was fun, but overall was confusing and got very convoluted. I never found myself enjoying the customization as much as I wanted to, but instead just liked when I randomly got one that looks cool. While the music serves its purpose, I feel like it could have been so much more. You may not remember what a lot of music sounds like in games, but you should at least know when and how it was used. And I honestly can't recall a single moment apart from trailers and the one Harley Quinn mission where the music was memorable, and I even recalled noticing the music. The story was a little shorter than I expected it to be. It never really got out of its comfort zone when it comes to progression through its main missions. It was pretty much the same formula over and over again with different cutscenes occasionally. These are all things I felt could have been improved or handled differently, but never gave the game a huge problem. But what did give the game huge problems? Well, let's talk about the bad. And unfortunately, there are some problems with this game. One of which was a huge talking point about the game after and leading up to the game's release. And that is, in fact, this game's frame rate. The frame rate, I'm sorry, runs like crap. Even on the PS5, which is what my friend and I played it on, we only ran 30 frames per second on next-gen hardware with tons of drops and areas where the performance would look like I'm on a PS3. Alright, while it was annoying, it's really upsetting when you remembered you paid $70 for it. And in the end, this ruined the game's visuals because the environment and atmosphere were really nice, but brought down by not being visually appealing due to its performance, especially while driving. While driving, God, the graphics and the lighting look so great, but it looks like you're watching a slideshow. All right, I may be over exaggerating a little bit, but it was bad. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It was bad. In terms of gameplay, there are so many unnecessary moments that deafen the momentum and fun. So much that it even becomes predictable and just flat out annoying. Like during missions, having to wait on the party leader to specifically open a specific door just to enter a cutscene of him opening the door and then leaving the cutscene. In total, that means the game takes about 10 seconds out of gameplay every time, and it happens so frequently throughout every mission. Also, there were plenty of times where you leave the belfry just to go talk to someone all the way across the map, just to immediately return to the belfry. Or the same thing when you complete objectives, it has you return to the belfry so often and really kills the open world vibe and momentum of the game. And even apart from the annoyances, the open world feels very empty and honestly has little to offer apart from very similar crimes and collectibles. And also, the progression in this game, it just feels off. I can't put my finger on it. The fact that you have to complete a bunch of crimes and specific enemies every time you want to unlock the traversal for each hero is quite disappointing. I don't mind having to do that, but it has you complete like 20 or so crimes just to unlock the traversal for each character. And what's really disappointing about it is, especially considering the fact that the open world is complete RNG every time you leave the belfry. There's so many times you have to rely on luck that certain crimes or enemies would spawn in with the world. Also, it doesn't help that the game tells you close to nothing in terms of how or what or where to do something. On top of all those issues that the core game has, there were plenty of bugs, glitches that my friend and I experienced to where we had to restart our game multiple times and lagged out of each other's lobbies often. These are problems that definitely hurt the game and needed better solutions, but how much did it hurt the game? Let's find out with my results. Through 20 hours of playing mainly co-op with a friend on PS5, I can say that I enjoyed playing most of the game. and was thrilled about how they handled the story and characters. There was never a time I thought this was a bad game, but instead had multiple times where I questioned the game's decisions. Whether it was useless cutscenes or directions or underdeveloped missions and customizations, there were several aspects I expected to be better. Overall, if you like DC, superheroes, or Batman, there's a lot to like here. It makes you feel like a superhero and gives plenty of fun, exciting character moments and gameplay to fill a near 12-hour main story. But in the end, I found myself happy I played the game, but wish there was more to offer. For my personal score, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10, and my critical rating a 72 out of 100. My tier ranking will be C, and my overall score is a 7 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, definitely leave a like in the comment section down below provided. What did you think of Gotham Knights? What would your scores be? I will be back again tomorrow with another video talking about PlayStation. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. G.A.M.E.R out. Peace.